what we are going to talk about today is the update in MongoDB. So we finished the query, the regular query, and now we want to talk about the update function in MongoDB. So update is used in this part. So basically earlier, when we talked about the query, actually query is used in many different places in the MongoDB. So when you find the documents that match your query, we will use it for the read operation. And also, when you use update function, we will use query and update part and the option part like this. So query is also used here, and we are also going to talk about today about the update part, and then we are going to talk a little bit about the option part. And also when you delete documents from the collection which satisfy your query, that will be also used here. So actually query is used in almost every operation in the MongoDB, and the update part will be used in the update function. So in the update part, what we do is very simple. Basically, we are specifying how we want to update the documents. So in the query part, we specify which document we want to update. So we find the document by specifying query. In this case, if we specify like this, then in the customer collection, we are going to find document with the name Claudia. And then in the update part, we specify how this should be updated. So in this case, we are saying that this document, we find it, then we should update like this. We keep the name Claudia, we add one more field friend, and we add this list. And the option part, we specify some of the updating options. So there are currently two options, multi or upsert. So I briefly talked about this last time, but if I quickly summarize this, if you set multi as true, then if there are more than one document that match the query, all the documents will be updated. If multi is false, the first document matched will be updated only. And the upsert is another thing. Upsert is false, and if there is no match of this document, then nothing will be updated. If upsert is true, if there is no match of this document, this part you specify in the update part will be added as a new document in the collection. So that's how the update in MongoDB basically works. So by default, when you use the update function and when you specify something on the update, the matched document will be replaced by a new document. So this is an important concept. So when you specify something on the update, then basically the matched document will be updated and replaced by what you specify here. So let's just think about this case. So you can try this later. I'll just explain to you so that we can save some time. So if you try this, then basically what I do is that in the customer collection, I add this document, which has two fields, name, Cloud, and friends, Leo, Patrick, like this. What I want to do is I simply want to update this name. So let's say that there was a typo in this name, and actually it should be Claudia, not Cloud. Then I only want to update this name. And you may design an update function, something like this. So find document with the name Cloud and update it with the name Claudia. So if you perform this update function, it will not work as you expect. What's going to happen is that this document will be replaced by this document. What it means is that the friends field will disappear because there is no friends field here in this document. So that's how the MongoDB works. So they do document replacement. So if you want to keep other original fields in the original document, you have to be a little bit careful about that. So one way is this. So let's say that, okay, we have this document. And the first thing you can do is that you can save this document in a certain variable in the JavaScript code. So you can specify variable, Claudia variable, and here you can save the document from this find function. So using this find function, I find the document with the name Cloud. So this document will be found and saved inside this Claudia variable. And then when I use update function, I use that variable basically. So I find the document in the collection with the name Cloud, and then if we find a match, I update the document with the name Claudia, And for the friends field, I keep it from Claudia.friends. So Claudia is a variable earlier we retrieved from the collection, and there is a friends field. So inside the Claudia variable, the friends field, we save it inside friends field for the new document like this. So in this way, if you use this, basically you will be able to change the name Claudia, but you will be able to keep other fields manually. But there is a problem of this approach because for each field the original document has, you have to specify like this. So it's quite a lot of manual work you have to do. So if the document has like 10 fields or 100 fields, you have to specify this field 100 times. So that's too much work. So there's another possibility. Another possibility is this. The first part is the same. We specify variable Claudia and we retrieve one document which match the name Cloud, and we save it inside the Claudia variable. And inside the Claudia variable, on the name field, we change that into Claudia like this. Then this Claudia variable will have exactly same fields as this, but only the name part will be changed into this. So we have that variable, and we use the update function, and we find a document with the name Cloud from the collection, and we update that document with the Claudia variable. So what's saved inside Claudia variable basically. So that's another approach. So if you do this, basically you don't need to go through 100 fields because you only change name inside this variable. But the one problem is this here. So last time I mentioned that when you design the MongoDB query and when you design the MongoDB code, you have to already think about the speed of the operation, how fast your code can be performed. The problem here is that to simply update one field, you are actually utilizing two MongoDB function. Basically, you are sending one query to the MongoDB, and MongoDB will return the result to you, and you are sending second query to update information. So to simply change one information in the document, you are sending a two query. So the additional trip to the MongoDB will be very time costly. So actually, so I wanted to talk about this operator. So in MongoDB, so if you want to change only one field information, then you can use this set operator. So that's the best approach actually. So we call this as a modifier in MongoDB. So using modifier, you can change and update a certain portion of a document instead of replacing the entire document. And the format of set function is like this. You can specify the set operator, and here you can specify the field which you want to change the value, and you can specify the new value you want to change into. The one thing is that if this field doesn't exist already in the document, the MongoDB will create new field based on what you specify here. So in this case, again, if I only want to change the name Cloud into Claudia, if I use the set operator, basically you can design this query like this. So using the set operator, you can specify the field that you want to change, which is a name in this case, and you can specify the value you want to change into like this. So this is the simplest way to change one field information inside document. So basically in this case, you need only one query to be sent to the MongoDB. So that's it. So that's basically example of set modifier. Also, if you use the set operator, you can create a new embedded document, or you can also change the value inside the embedded document. To do that, the function, the format is like this. You can use the set operator. You can simply specify the main field in the document and the field in the sub document. and you can specify the value like this. So let's say that we want to add some phone numbers of the customer. So earlier we changed the name of customer into Claudia, and for that Claudia we want to add some phone number. Then you can also use the set operator here. So use the set operator, and so something like this. So you can test this later in your MongoDB. So basically, in this case, we can also utilize the set operator to add a new sub-document. So basically, if we do that, the phone field will be created inside the Claudia document, and the home field will be created inside phone field as a sub-document. So basically, phone will have a sub-document with the home field and work field, and the value will be like this. So this is another example of using the set operator to add a new field. In this case, we add the embedded document inside the Claudia document. So there are like other operator which we can use frequently in the MongoDB. So when you have like a number field, you can also utilize the inc operator. So basically, it will increase a value in that number field. So something like this. So let me actually try this, the first one, to show you the result. So if I try this first one in the actually I need to add this first so that I have this document. So let me try this in the MongoDB. So open share here and type this, and let me type this one. So basically, this is what we did earlier. So basically, the first one, we added this document with the name cloud and friends this, and then we update name cloud. We find this document and we update the name into Claudia. The last one, we find the document with the name Claudia, and we use the set operator, and we specify the field point 0. So currently, point field doesn't exist in the original document. So this point field will be created inside this document, and the value will be 0. So after performing this, if I look at here, basically in the person collection, which collection is it? Customer collection. So in the customer collection, also I tried this before, so there are multiple information, but basically we are looking at Claudia here. So Claudia has points field, and it's currently set as 0 like this. So if I want to use this point if I want to increase this points field by 100 amount, then I can use this inc operator basically here. So in the update function, the first part is the query. So I have to specify which document I want to find, which is name Claudia as usual. And the second part, we specify how we want to update this document. So in this case, I use the inc operator. And the field I want to update is a point, which is a number field. And here I specify the amount, how much amount I want to increase this field. So I can specify 100. Then basically points will be increased by 100 point. So if I copy this and put it here, so it said it's updated, and if I look at the customer collection again, then I see that the points for the Claudia increased by 100 points, like this. So that's how you can change it and update the number of the value inside document. So if you want to decrease the number, then you can simply use the negative number here. So if you use -100, it will decrease by -100, like that. And another operator is this. So earlier, if we use a set operator and if you specify the field that doesn't exist in the document already, I told you that the new field will be created based on what you mentioned here. So if you want to remove the existing field, you can use the onset operator here. And you can specify the field you want to remove, and you can simply specify 1 as a value. So earlier we created a points field inside the Claudia document. If you want to remove it, you can simply use onset and specify the field points and specify the value 1, like this. So that's all. It's quite simple. So here, if I put this here and perform it, it's performed. And if I look at the customer, I can see that now Claudia doesn't have a points field anymore because we just removed it. So that's it. And this is the list operation again. So sometimes again you may have a list data type inside your MongoDB, and some field, if it has a list data type, then you can actually insert a new element into the list by using the update function. So let's just say that in our database the Claudia is a customer, and we want to add some comments about this customer. So if the Claudia makes some comments, we want to save it in our document together. Then she can make multiple comments, so we can keep those data as a list data type. Then we can use this push operator to keep adding comments into her document. So in this case, as an example, we can use the push operator, and we can use the comments field. So we can create new comments field inside her document. And comments can be something like this. And in the future, she may make another comment about the company. Then at that time, we can use push operator again to add comments into the comments field. Something like this. So let's try this. Oops. So if I copy this here and if I perform this, the quotation, okay. Okay, so this is performed, and if I look at the customer collection again for the Claudia, then now she has a comments field, and as you can see, these two comments are added inside comments field as a list data type. So you can see that. So that's how you can use push operator to add additional element into the list. So in this case, I add one element one by one using the push operator. But if you want to add multiple value like this, then you can also use the each operator together. So basically, when you want to perform operation, and if you, in this case, if you want to add multiple elements into a list, you can specify those elements inside the list, and you can use the each operator. Then the function or operator you specify earlier will be performed against each element in the list. So it will iterate over multiple elements in a list. So in this example here, the Claudia made multiple comments, and if we want to add all those comments at once by using a single query, single function, then we can use each operator together. So in this case, we first specify which operator we want to use, which is a push operator, because we want to add the data into the comments field. So we specify that first. And earlier, when we specify push operator in the comments field, we added one string, one text information. But in this case, we want to add multiple data together. So here we are going to use each operator. And in the each operator, we specify a list of elements we want to add into the comments field. Like this. So that's it. So only thing we changed it is basically earlier we had only one element, we now have a list of elements, and now we have each operator, so that this function we specified earlier can be operated against each element in the list. So if we do this, and if we copy this and go to the MongoDB, and if we try this, you will see that it will work as you expect. So like this, and click the play icon, then it's updated. If I look at the customer collection again, here for Claudia, now earlier we had 2 comments, and now we have two more comments like this. So that's how this each operator works together with the other operator. So another thing you can use together is actually slice operator. So slice operator, we already talked about it last time a little bit when we talked about the query. And slice operator is actually quite useful when you design the MongoDB application. One of the reasons is this. So last time when we talked about like recent activity, usually we prefer to embed those parts together with like a user document, because when you access a user profile, we want to show like recent 5 activities together. In that case, what we want to do is this. Let's say that we have a recent activity field, then it will be a list of elements, because you want to keep the information about the recent activities. And when you keep this list of elements, you don't want to add like hundreds or too many elements inside. You want to keep maybe the 5 recent or 10 recent activity. Then you can use the slice operator together with the push operator. Then when you add the element into the list, it will remove the old element, and it will only keep the recent element. So this slice operator is actually quite used frequently in the practice when you use it together with the push, like when you keep those recent activity information together with the push operator. So in this case, let's think about this scenario. So when the Claudia is making the comments, but we want to keep only the recent 3 comments, then you can design the query like this. The first part is basically same as earlier, so I'll copy from here. So first of all, Claudia makes some comments. Then we'll use the push operator to design this query to add comments into the list basically. And here we can add the slice operator on the let me see. Like this, basically here. So basically whenever each comment is added, we'll only keep the last 3 elements in the list. So we can add slice operator in this inside this comments part. So in the comments field, we perform this. We use this each operator to add each element in the list here. But we can specify that we only keep the recent 3 elements in the list. So let me test this whether it works fine. So let me change the name of this into third and the last comment. So basically, if we perform this query, what we expect to happen is that the last comment and the third comment and one more comment will be left in the list. So here we can confirm that like this. So second, third, and the last comment will be only kept in this comments list data type. So that's it. So basically that's the slice operator. So actually that's about all about update operator. So I have a few exercises here. I have 2 exercises basically. So let's do this together. So first of all, let's add the following information into our MongoDB database. So briefly to talk about this, what I'm doing is that I'm adding 3 documents into the employee collection. So in MongoDB, I make an employee collection and I add 3 documents. First document, name is Tom, and the visited country list is US and Japan, like this. Second, name is Jane. She visited Korea, Hong Kong. Third is Bob. Bob visited Singapore only, like this. So in the company, basically, for each employee, let's say that we want to keep the information about the visited country list. So that's what I want to do. So let me copy this. And in MongoDB, here, let's put this and let's perform this 3 query. Then it's added. If I refresh test database, I will see that there's an employee collection. And here, as you see, there are 3 documents added as I specified in the code earlier. So I prepared this data set. And what I want to do is this. Let's assume that all the employees recently visited Hong Kong for a business trip. And the company wants to add Hong Kong into the visited list field for all employees. So basically everyone visited Hong Kong, so I want to add Hong Kong here, and Jane already visited Hong Kong, so we don't need to add. So that's what I want to do. In this case, you may design a query like this. So to save the time, let me show you the possible solution for this query. So we can use the update query, of course, in this case. And in the first part, for the query, we can choose only those documents that doesn't have a Hong Kong in the visited list first. So if Hong Kong is already in the list, we don't need to add Hong Kong. So we find and filter those documents without Hong Kong in the visited list. And for those documents, we use a push operator to add Hong Kong into the visited list. And for the option, in this case, we have to use multi-option because we want to update multiple documents. So here we say true, like this. So basically, that's it. So first we filter those documents which doesn't have a Hong Kong in the visited list, and then we use a push operator to add Hong Kong into visited list, and we specify multi as true so that we can update multiple documents that satisfy this condition. So if you copy this and if you perform this in the MongoDB, And then, yeah, 2 records are updated only because the second one already has a visited list Hong Kong. And as you see, all 3 documents now has Hong Kong in the visited country list, like this. So that's one way of designing this query, basically. So that's one sample solution. And there's another possible solution. You can do the same thing using this add to set operator. So earlier we used the filter, which is query, and also we used the push operator to add it only when a certain value doesn't exist in the list already. That function can be actually done by simply using add to set operator too. So if you use add to set operator, it will consider list as a set. So if you are familiar with Python and other programming language, you will know the difference between set and the list. So basically in the list, you can have multiple elements with the same field. But if you have the set data type, you can have only a unique element in the list. So it's not possible to have the same value in the list as an element. So in this case, if you use add to set operator, basically MongoDB will treat the list as a set. It means that if a certain value you try to add is already in the list, it will not add into it. So basically it's this. You use add to set operator, you specify the field, which is a list field, and you specify the element. Then MongoDB will add to the list only when that element you specify doesn't already exist. So for earlier solution, we can also code using this add to set operator. In this case, we can simply do not filter any documents. We simply use this bracket only to query all the documents in the collection, and then we use add to set operator to add Hong Kong into visited country list, like this. And in this case, multi should be also true because we want to update multiple documents. So this one you can try by yourself. So I already tried the earlier query. So if I try this now, nothing will change because Hong Kong is already in the visited list for all the documents. So that's it. So any questions so far? Okay. Okay, so the next one is this operator. So this operator is also, if you are familiar with the programming language like Python or other things, and if you have used the list data type before, then probably you already know this operator. So MongoDB also has a pop operator and a pull operator. So if you use a pop operator, basically you can specify the field which has a list data type, and you can specify -1 to remove the first element. If you use 1, it will remove the last element from the list. So it's a same operator as frequently used in the programming language. And there's also pull operator. If you want to remove a certain specific element from the list, you can use this pull operator. So you can use the pull operator, specify the list field, and specify the element you want to remove from the list, then you can use the pull operator. The example can be this. Let's remove first element of a visited list field for all employee, then we can use the pop operator. So in this case, the query can be So in this case, the query can be like this. So basically, I select all documents. Basically, for all employee, I use the pop operator to remove the first element in the visited list. and option multi is true, so that I can do it for multiple documents. And the second question is this: if we want to remove Hong Kong from visited list for the employee Jane, so later we checked it, actually Jane didn't go to Hong Kong because she had something else, some other issue, then we want to remove Hong Kong from visited country list. Then we can use a pull operator in this case. So the query can be like this. So that's it. So we want to find the document with the name Jane, and we want to remove Hong Kong from visited country list by using the pull operator in this case. And in this case, we don't need to set any option because we only want to do this operation for Jane once. So that's it. So let me simply try this just to see whether it works fine. So in this case, the first one, so I can put it here. If I perform this, and if I look at the employee, I can see that. So please turn off the sound. Okay. So I can see that the first element on the list is all removed, and the second operation here, if I copy this and perform here, then let me change the quotation. Okay, then you will see that one document is updated, and for Jane, you can see that Hong Kong is not there anymore. So she doesn't have any element in the list anymore because we removed the first element and we also removed Hong Kong. So there's nothing here. So that's it.